This is the Yorkshire Business Woman podcast, supporting, inspiring and promoting women in business.
Hi everybody and welcome to the Yorkshire Business Woman podcast. I am delighted today to have Zoe Hands, manager of the Marriott Hotel in Leeds, on the couch today, talking all things hospitality, career progression and this wonderful trajectory of experience that Zoe has. Over 25 years, which I'm struggling to believe, 25 years. She celebrates that anniversary this year and has a lot of success and achievements under her belt, starting as a room service supervisor to the dizzy heights of leadership and management at the Marriott Hotel. So without further ado, Zoe, I'd like to get straight into it and ask you all about your incredible and ongoing career.
Hi, Freda. Thank you so much for inviting me onto the podcast. I'm absolutely delighted to be here to talk about my journey and my career path. I've worked for the Marriott for 25 years, but even before that, I have worked at quite a few other different hotels, smaller hotels. So I've been in hospitality for probably 30 years. So it's a long time of working in hospitality, but it's something that I absolutely love. It's a career that I'm super passionate about. And I've done lots and lots of different roles in hospitality. So when people say to me, "You've worked at the Marriott for 25 years, gosh, that must be like really boring and, sat at the same desk for 25 years. But it hasn't been like that at all because I've done so many different roles in that time. I started at the hotel as a room service supervisor. And to be honest, every single role I've had, I've thoroughly enjoyed. So it's not just been a case of sat at the same desk for 25 years doing exactly the same job. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, really, of a career spanning 25 years. I've done 10 different job titles, including things like I've been conference and banqueting manager, I've run the bar and the restaurant, I've worked at 7 different Marriott hotels, so I haven't always been at the Leeds Marriott. So it's been so varied. Even though it's been a long time, it's been a lot of different roles. And of course, I've had 4 maternity leaves in that time as well, because I've got 4 wonderful sons. So, in terms of a varied career, it's been so different and varied and enjoyable, really, and fulfilling.
I did see the diversity of your career and just listening to you now, I'm a little bit exhausted actually, sorry. But I think it's incredible that your trajectory has been, like I said, very diverse. And it's been a little bit of a ping pong situation because you have left the Marriott at different intervals, which I think is good because obviously you've experienced life outside of that incredible brand as well. And at a hotel, which I absolutely love, Hollins Hall, which is relatively kind of low key, but a beautiful hotel in a stunning part of Yorkshire as well. One of the things that jumped out at me looking at your amazingly diverse career was Christmas coordinator. Tell me more about exactly what a dedicated role as Christmas coordinator would be. Would you spend a whole year in that role?
Yes. So when I had my children were quite young, I only worked part-time. So I've not always been in this role that I'm in now. I worked for 15 hours a week. And so my role was called the Christmas coordinator. So people used to call me Mrs. Christmas because I was everything Christmas, come and see me. So I looked after all the Christmas parties that came into the hotel. And would you believe people do book their parties in January because they want to get the availability for the room. But working those 15 hours a week doing Christmas was a wonderful experience. And I think because my children were quite young at the time, it was a chance for me to just step out of the mum mode, walk into a Leeds city centre and walk into this fabulous hotel and take on a completely different persona from being mum. I had 10 years of my life where I was either pregnant or breastfeeding or I've just given birth, but I always worked, even if it was in a part-time position. So this role was in the sales team, looking after all the Christmas parties. And every hour that I worked doing that job, I absolutely loved it. And I couldn't wait to get to work. I was so involved in the Christmas parties. It was a full year-round job, booking all the Christmas parties into the hotel. It was amazing.
Well, it sounds a lot of fun. And obviously, I think it set the tone for a lot of the work that you're doing now around events as well. I just want to go back to something that you talked about with regards to the 10-year span that you were having either babies or breastfeeding. Do you feel like it was a very supported environment for a mum?
It was exceptionally supportive. And I could have gone and got a different job doing something different, but I didn't want to. I wanted to stay in hospitality. That's my passion. That's something that I've always wanted to do. So I think my employers wanted me to stay with them as well, and they made it so that I could work flexibly. I could work around my school hours for the children. I worked 15 hours a week, but it was very, very easy for me to go and do that in school time. I wasn't in a team leader position. But yeah, I wanted to stay in hospitality. I wanted to stay in the hotel business. And I knew eventually that the children would get older and then my opportunity would come to go back into a managerial position in the hotel. And I felt supported 100% at work. And, with Marriott, it is a really fabulous employer. And as a mum of young children, you never can have a hot drink. You're always running around. Everything's so busy at home. So stepping into work where you get a meal made for you, you can sit and eat it with your colleagues. You can chat about things that are not related to children's things. You can step out of mum mode, and it was bliss. I can honestly say those 15 hours when I had the children that were so young, I adore my children and I love being mum. But that just felt so brilliant, and I put everything into that job, and that's when I developed this really strong passion for sales, and working in sales is something that is my passion. I absolutely love working in sales, and of course sales is all about relationship building, and that's something that I feel super passionate about as well.
And people, when they are looking to invest in whatever you are, for want of a better word, selling, they are actually investing in you, Zoe.
Absolutely.
So it's actually about character, personality.
Yes.
One thing that jumps out while you're speaking is your focus. And it's very unusual to find somebody who has a very linear narrative in terms of their focus. You have been very dedicated in your hospitality role. Yeah. I interview quite a few people, but the trajectory is very diverse across a number of different career paths. I'm going to go back a few steps now, Zoe. You talked about 30 years. 25 years astounds me, but 30 years. It's obviously something that you had focused on from leaving school.
Yes.
So you must have had hospitality, hotel in your mind.
Yes.
And stayed on that path. Am I right?
Yes. So when I was at school, it's not something that I instantly thought about, but I knew that I was a people person, that I liked being around people. I love the energy that I get from a room full of people. Then I did my A-levels, and it was actually my mum who very much guided me towards this hospitality path, and she just knew that I would love it. And
why hotel? Sorry to interrupt you, otherwise I'll lose this train. But why hotels in particular? Hospitality spans the restaurant industry, events, conferences. Why specifically hotels? Had you been to hotels?
Yes.
I certainly hadn't as a youngster, so I would never have had a clue.
I think we had been to hotels, and myself and my mum and dad, when I was a child, and always really enjoyed the buzz of a hotel. And mum, knowing my personality, steered me towards that, and then very strongly advised me to take up a hospitality management program. And I went to Newcastle College for 3 years, and I did hospitality management, and that's a course where you did a year in industry. So I went to work at East Midlands Airport for a year, and that was working in every department in the hotel. So there is not a single department in a hotel that I haven't worked in. I'm even went and worked in maintenance, painting the hotel, and
Really?
it was one of those courses where you literally learn from the ground up, and it was fabulous in that it really started a massive passion, and I knew that was the path for me. And then when
it was your calling then, wasn't it?
It definitely
It called
was.
you.
And something that work a job that you love, and you're never going to work a day in your life. And my mum sort of instilled that in me. If you do something that you love, it doesn't feel like work, because she had the same opinion, because she was a businesswoman and she had a children's day nursery along with my dad. And they instilled this like work ethic into all of us, as myself and 3 siblings, and we all enjoy our career paths that we've all chosen. So I think it's instilled in us from being quite young.
I think it's brilliant. And the way you're speaking to me, it sounds like the transitions from one job role were quite an easy, fluid transition. I mean, you're talking about the maintenance side and then the catering side and then the room supervisor side.
Yeah.
Again, I suppose it's all packaged within hospitality, but you must have a huge inventory of skills that you can deploy
and the good
on a
thing,
day-to-day basis, which again, it's quite unusual to find somebody that is so focused, and you'll probably know everything about anything. So if I don't know what they call it nowadays, but chambermaid,
yes,
is that the same term?
Yeah,
anything from being a chambermaid right through to senior management. You could jump between those two.
And sometimes a typical day in a hotel, if it's a really, really busy day in a hotel, everybody helps, and everybody will go to any department. And I think that's the beauty of hospitality. People think working in hospitality, there's this perception that a job in hospitality is a stopgap job, or it's a job that you do on the side while you're a student. It's not genuinely a career path. But for me, it has been a wonderful, fulfilling career that's given me so much job satisfaction over the years. And so, some days, even now, so I'm 25 years service with Marriott, even now, some days I genuinely get butterflies thinking, I cannot wait to go to work. I cannot wait. We might have a massive event something happening that's very exciting. And my friends, when I talk to my friends about my job, they're all like, oh, that's so amazing. I wish I felt like that about my job. And I don't think everybody does feel like that about the job. But I think because I'm now in a sales role, I find it really easy to sell the hotel, because it's something that I genuinely love. And it's something that I can't sell that by myself. I wouldn't want to sell something that I didn't genuinely believe in. And the team that works in the hotel, they are the most amazing team. And I know that if I'm out and somebody wants to come and have an event with us at the hotel, I genuinely know that they will have a wonderful event. I know the team at the hotel, they're just the most fabulous people. I mean, I've done 25 years in the Leeds Marriott, started at the Leeds Marriott. There are 9 other people in the hotel that have also done 25 years in that hotel. So we've grown up together.
That's a testament to the brand, really.
Yeah.
And again, I want to stop you because you use this word a lot, which is sell, and it has so many connotations. So when you say, I sell the Marriott, talk to me about the different things that you're selling, because obviously it's not just the hotel rooms.
Yes. So there's lots of different things in the hotel that I look after. So it's all the conference rooms. We've got 17 meeting spaces. We've got a really big meeting room where we did the Yorkshire Business Woman dinner, which I'm super proud of. It was a wonderful event and really honoured to have that in our hotel. And we have a brand new Gino de Campo restaurant that just opened last year. So in terms of selling, you're selling the experience of coming to the hotel and all the different aspects. But yeah, it's very much a team effort at the hotel. And I think I wouldn't be able to go out and confidently talk about the product if I didn't believe in it. And the team that are there just make it amazing.
Well, I do watch these shows. They are reality TV shows, and one of the ones I absolutely love is actually the Savoy, and the precision that goes in to even making sure that logos and directions of towels are very definitively placed. Yes. Do you have that same level of precision? Do you do quality control?
Absolutely. So just for an example, the housekeeping team, they follow all the brand standards when they're cleaning the bedrooms, and they have to be cleaned to a certain level. And then we have a checker who will go in and check things. But something that's really, really nice as well, it's not just about everything being perfect. I think they make it really personal for the guests. So if we know it's somebody's birthday, if we know it's somebody's getting married, or it's a special occasion, some of the girls on the front desk are expert at like making towels into swans and love hearts.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
Our chefs would make a beautiful plate saying happy birthday or happy anniversary with chocolate and strawberries dipped in chocolate, and they always make it really personal for the guests. So I'm super proud of the team at the hotel, and we've got a lot of talent there, and a lot of people who it is a career rather than just a stopgap, and so much progression that can happen in a hotel and in the hospitality industry, because you can go from, like, I've been head housekeeper where I've been cleaning the bedrooms and checking the bedrooms and looking after a big team, and then I've been a senior events manager where I'm looking after the sales team and looking after the office. I've been a guest relations manager, I've been on the front desk checking people in. Really all the skills that you learn in each department are completely transferable skills.
Do you think that's down to your personality and your passion, or do you think that is really I suppose it's a two-way street?
Yeah.
Do you think the Marriott and other brands that you've worked for have nurtured that passion that you have been enabled, for want of a better word,
absolutely,
to cross so many different, I suppose, aspects of the job, and making you fully adept from what it sounds like, which takes me on to the next question, because you are very much right now in a position of leadership. And as we are Yorkshire Business Women, I'm going to steer the narrative towards women in hospitality. And I want you to talk to me candidly, actually, the pros and the cons about being a woman in hospitality. I doubt there will be any cons from listening to you so far.
Being a woman in hospitality it's better than it's ever been, I would say. And the Marriott leadership team are predominantly women now, which is, it's so nice to feel represented as a woman in these very high up leadership roles. I'm talking about the AVP of Marriott for the whole of EMEA is a lady who is very much a role model, and other ladies in the sales discipline, that are very high up in their roles. So there's something to aspire to there for definite. There's always progression in this industry, as particularly with Marriott. They very much encourage career progression. You feel supported to push yourself forward as well. I also think, like anything, you have got this element of whatever you put in, you will get back. I think if you don't want to progress, that's also absolutely fine. But if you do want to progress and you're prepared to make the sacrifices and do the extra learnings, to do the trainings, then you will be rewarded. The other thing, of course, with Marriott is you can travel, you can move to other hotels all over the world. Marriott's the biggest hotel company in the world. There's opportunities absolutely everywhere. Not just for women, but women are super represented and very well supported, I would say.
I think that's brilliant. And I think from what just you've exuded from before we've even got to the women, I would have expected that answer. Again, you brought something up which sparked a light in my head. I went to India, and on 2 occasions I stayed in the Marriott Hotel. And the one thing I did notice is the consistency of, I suppose it's the brand, and it seemed like a very small town actually located in... India is very diverse. You have the very poor living right next to the very affluent. But the Marriott had a consistency about it in terms of quality, standards, interface with a front of house, which was incredible, actually. And it's probably one of the best experiences of my life. I went to Marriott Garden City.
Amazing.
In Agra, and also the quite established Marriott that was more, I think had been there for over 20 years. But again, there was no difference in quality and standards. And that's really impressive. I don't know if you've had the chance to travel to India. But
No,
I would
not to
urge
India.
you to.
But what I would like to say is, because I've done 25 years service with Marriott, there's this amazing thing that you get when you do 25 years, which is called the Quarter Century Club. So I am now officially a member of the Quarter Century Club, extremely proud to be a member. So you get a card where you can stay at any Marriott anywhere in the world when... subject to availability, whenever you like, for free for the rest of your life. So I am now a member of this club. So
Is it transferable?
for myself and my 4 children, this is like a whole new world opening up. So I've got lots of plans to travel, stay in all the different Marriotts, because obviously working full time and having 4 children, you don't have tons of time to be able to, go and travel. But now I've got this amazing opportunity. I would like to, go to all these other incredible Marriotts, because you hear so many amazing stories about the properties overseas. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that with the boys.
Goodness me. What has been the most interesting Marriott that you've stayed in to date, do you think? I'm sure there are plenty more experiences to come, but so far.
Yes, let's hope so. But I mean, I actually really love staying in the UK as well, and taking the boys here, there and everywhere, and some of the major cities with the big Marriotts in them. You can have such a wonderful experience, and the hotels are just fabulous, and the beds are the most comfortable beds you could possibly sleep in.
I agree.
Yeah, and the children, it's not anywhere exotic, but we just went up to Newcastle and stayed in the Marriott there, and the welcome that we got from the staff, we got a welcome plate, welcome to Zoe and the boys. They had sweets for them on the bed and little treats for them, and they made it so personal for us. And I think it's not really about the place, it's about how you remember things like that, don't you, that make it really personal.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it.
And I've stayed at many Marriotts, actually, without bragging about it, but Egypt, India.
Yeah, fabulous.
But they've always been consistent.
Yes.
But the style also reflects the country as well.
Yeah.
So whilst there is a consistency in terms of the style, whether that be the floral arrangements or anything that pertains specifically to those countries, I love the fact that they are very inclusive in that way as well.
Definitely.
In terms of staffing, making sure that, they represent the biggest demographic of staff as well.
And they do.
India was interesting for that reason, because you have women very much in the forefront of leadership roles as well.
Fabulous. But you do have the Marriott brand standards, so you've got that, feeling that whichever Marriott you go into, you will get that level of service. And I think that's quite powerful.
That is hugely powerful and important. And as very discerning travellers that we all are now, we expect if it says 5-star, we want 5-star.
Yes.
We won't take anything less. But in my experience of travelling, which does span a couple of decades, not as many as yours, but I know it's been consistent in that whole time, which is hugely, hugely important. So as I introduced you as the multi-award winning Zoe, I would like to talk more about these specific awards, and in particular, 2 actually, I'd like to talk about. So Manager of the Year. How much of an achievement is that, Zoe?
Yes, I was absolutely blown away to win that award. It was the Marriott UK Business Council Manager of the Year award last year. And it's a bit of a funny story, because we went to London to the award ceremony. So I can remember I went with my manager, Alan, at the time, who'd very kindly nominated me for the award. And I remember walking into the reception, and I sat next to Alan, and I can remember looking around the room at all the people that had been nominated, and I looked at Alan and I just said, "I'm really sorry, Alan, but there's no way that it's been a really nice trip to come down, but there's no way that I'm going to win this." I really felt like, looking around the room, I've got absolutely no chance in this room. And then I can remember the person that was doing the awards, she started talking when it was time to announce the winner, and I genuinely couldn't believe it. And she started talking about the person who'd won, and very quickly I realised she was talking about me.
Oh.
And this, I don't know, is it imposter syndrome or something? Kate washed over me, and I just started crying because I knew she was talking about me, and I just kept looking around the room thinking, I cannot believe that it's me. And so I wish I hadn't have cried, obviously, when I went to get my award, but I think it was such a shock, and I just felt so overwhelmed that the emotion, I just couldn't stop the emotion. And it really was the best moment, I think, of my career.
I think it's important that you cried, actually, Zoe, because it shows that you are a human like all of us. And that I think, emotion will define your management style as well, because it's about empathy and relatability. And you're probably one of the most amenable women I know, so you really are. Which leads me on to another very prestigious award, Zoe, from our own Yorkshire Business Woman network. Tell me more about that.
This is another amazing moment in my career. I was nominated for the Network of the Year award. It went to an independent panel of judges, some very prestigious judges. So on the night we didn't know who had won, and then on the night when they said my name, it was a very similar. Trying not to cry, but it was like an out-of-body experience. I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely delighted and so proud, and it just really was an extremely, emotional moment.
So it was for Networker of the Year. Tell me more about the networking event.
Yeah, so I was nominated as the Networker of the Year. So as part of my role as the sales leader for the Leeds Marriott, when I first started the role, I wanted to make the role my own. I wanted to put my own personal stamp on it. And part of that was getting out into Leeds city centre, which is somewhere that I am so passionate about, the business in Leeds.
Even with all the roadworks?
Even with all the roadworks. But we'll let that go.
To throw that
yes, we'll let the roadworks go. But something I'm super passionate about is Leeds and networking with the business people of Leeds.
Yeah.
So when I started the role, I decided I want to get out there. I want to meet as many people as I possibly can and start this networking journey, which I did. And for me, networking is just all about building relationships. People buy people at the end of the day. I don't try and be super salesy or, in fact, networking for me is all about what can I do for the other person. So when I meet people, I instantly try and think, what can I do to help you to connect to the correct people in my network? And I think that instantly builds relationship and makes people remember you, and then you become, this relationship starts from there. I don't think networking is all about being salesy at all, or being pushy. And I think a lot of things networking wise can seem a bit cringy. So I actually set up my own networking group, which is called City Networking, and I aim to take the cringe out of networking because so many people hate networking.
What's the cringe factor?
So people always say to me, I don't want to, I don't want to walk into a room full of people that I don't know, which who does really, let's face it. But everybody in that room feels the same. So I always try and meet people as they're arriving. If they're coming alone, they normally tell me in advance, and I'll try and pair them up with a person that potentially will be a good match to talk to them. And I don't do I like going to some events where you do an elevator pitch. That's my personal choice. I do like doing that, and I don't have a it doesn't bother me, but some people don't like doing that. So we make our networking event super informal, where you just chat and get to know each other, and then we bring the food out and everybody sits together and has something to eat. But the feedback from the events is amazing. That relaxed, informal feel makes all the difference, and the amount of business that actually gets done in the room, because obviously that's the whole point of it. It's not just having a jolly and a lovely lunch. The actual business that gets done in the room is also happening. So it's a really nice environment to do networking in.
I think you hit the nail on the head. You have to really have a very coordinated brain. And I call people like you conduits. You're the connector.
Yeah.
So you have a brilliant way of making sure that the right people are in the room. I've been to one of your events, and there was a specific theme to it, which really did match with my own skill set.
Yeah.
And that was really good.
Yeah.
Do you theme them specifically?
I don't theme them
is
as
that just
such.
by pure chance
Yeah.
that I was in a room full of people that resonated with me?
Yeah, I don't theme them as such, but as people arrive, I try and say to everybody as they're walking in and get the name badges and things, the main thing that I want you to do at this event is have a nice time, relax and have a nice time. And then I think that is when the magic happens, because if you're having a nice time and you're just being friendly and chatting to people, it's not really an accident when business happens and you start making these connections with people, and you might want to connect somebody with that person. It doesn't necessarily mean that the first person that you speak to, you're just going to get business from. They'll know somebody, they might know somebody else. Networking's a funny thing, isn't it? And I think might have been to a networking event 3 years ago, and as ridiculous as that sounds, somebody might contact me from a networking event from 3 years ago and say, "Oh, I remember you. You work in a hotel. Could you do this for me?" They don't even sometimes remember which hotel I work in. They just remember that we've connected. I might have helped them out in the past. That's what networking is all about. Be creating these memorable connections where people want to work together, because I say it all the time, it's very much a Marriott sales thing as well, that people buy people. And I do. I would want to work with somebody that I have a connection with, somebody that, that reciprocal networking where you work together, and then, you if you had something for that person, you'd try and use them rather than somebody else, because it's all about the people.
Well, it is. It's an investment. It's trust.
Definitely.
It's based on lots of factors to do with reliability, as I said, trust, and an investment. And it should be long-term and sustainable.
Definitely.
You embody everything and you're such a good role model for so many different things. I don't want to use the word poster girl, but you actually do strike me as a poster girl for all things leadership within hospitality, and the passion that you exude is just very refreshing, Zoe. I'm going to move on to some very Yorkshire-based questions,
this is
which
exciting.
are generic questions that I pose to all the lovely guests that come on this the podcast. So, question number 1, your favourite part of the county and why? And what would your perfect idea of a day out in Yorkshire look like?
Well, I am so lucky that I live in Huddersfield, and the scenery in Huddersfield, honestly, it's quite breathtaking. It's amazing. I love living in, a rural part of the world, with all the fields around us and things like that. But for me, my very, very favourite place is Dovestones. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a reservoir, and you feel like you're literally you go over the hill and you feel like you're in a different country. It's like being somewhere. It's one of my absolute favourite places. I love it there. Another place is Brimham Rocks. I love to take my boys to Brimham Rocks. I don't know if anybody can understand the testosterone levels of having 4 boys and how that they do need to be in the outdoors, and I'm a big believer in getting the children outside. So we go to Brimham Rocks and they can climb on the rocks, and we have a fabulous day out there. Another place is Bolton Abbey.
All beautiful places.
They're my top 3 places in Yorkshire, and they're all stunning, and I love them all for different reasons. But I do love being outside and walking and getting fresh air, and it's very important for well-being, isn't it? And when you're such a busy person, I mean, I am super busy, but I think walking is something that I try and do as much as I possibly can and be outside.
Absolutely. Nature is a fabulous reset as well, and I do notice on your social media that you do spend a lot of time outdoors with your boys and your family.
I think boys need to be outside like little puppies. They need a little run around, and then they feel a lot the energy's out of them, and they like it. Boys like to be outside.
You're a wonderful mother, Zoe, as well. So going on to my next question about Yorkshire person, past or present. Is there any one particular person, or do you feel like there are a few women that you would see as role models or admire for different reasons?
For me, joining the Yorkshire Business Woman for me has been absolutely fabulous, and I've met so many amazing women at the Yorkshire Business Woman group. This is another thing where the more you put into something, you will start to get things back. I love working with the Yorkshire Business Woman committee that's organising the dinner. Those women on the committee have taught me such a lot, and that includes yourself, Freda. I've learnt so much from these amazing, really quite formidable women in business that I would never have had access to if I hadn't have joined the Yorkshire Business Woman. You know, the doors have sort of opened for me to have access to these incredible women. You know, Jill, Jane Klein's, Rebecca Hopwood, yourself. It's a diverse group of women, but you know, the amount I've learned about business and, you know, about networking, about building these relationships, it's been quite transformative for me, and it's been something that I treasure. I lost my mum sadly in December, and it's not just about business, is it? It's not just about business. And I found this huge virtual hug from these amazing women. And you know, I stood at the front of the Yorkshire Business Woman meeting and did a speech and talked about my mum. And I broke down when I was talking, and I looked out into the audience, and I can honestly say that the ladies in the audience was so compassionate and so understanding, so empathetic. You know, that vulnerability that I showed, that I was absolutely mortified at the time, thinking, oh no, everyone's going to think I'm, you know, I failed, I've cried when I'm doing a speech. But it wasn't like that at all. And it really resonated with me that these women are your cheerleaders. This is your tribe. You know, these women are the ones that are going to lift you up. And afterwards, I got so many messages of support on LinkedIn, you know, on email. These women that were in the audience, some of them have lost their parents, or, you know, everybody has tough times, don't they, in life. But the support was there, and it really is a wonderful, wonderful group. And I'll say it again, the more you put in, the more you will get back from the group. Yeah.
And I'm honoured that you mentioned me in such a favourable light. But Zoe, it is a synergy, and I think it's a two-way street.
I do.
Whilst you absorb the energies and everything that the women have in the network, you too bring a lot to that. So please do not forget that you are one of the most inspiring, passionate members.
Thank you,
we
Freda.
are honoured to have as well. So like I said, don't forget, it's a two-way street. So we get a lot from you, Zoe.
Thank you, Freda.
Moving on to the next question then. Are there any particular business women that you could put on a mantle? I'm sure many would say you, but
I'm not sure about that. I mean, for me, I have had, you know, so much support within Marriott from phenomenal leaders, women and men. But my, you know, role models within Marriott, we've got a lady called Joanna Chu, who's our AVP. She's definitely a role model for me, because I can see that position that she holds. She's a woman in business. She's got children. You know, anything is possible, and you feel represented by that being a female in that position, as a mum as well, because you know, just because you've got children doesn't mean that you can't achieve amazing things.
I think it's a superpower.
I do, and I think having children and being a working mum makes you really resourceful. It makes me, I work so efficiently now. I know I've got to be home. I need to be back to make the children the tea. So I literally beaver away at my desk. I've become much more efficient since becoming a mum, and a multitasker to the extreme of doing 100 things at once, which, you know, it's not always ideal, is it? But
you all have to stop to take those calls from the school or the children. So yes, I agree.
Yeah, but I do feel supported as a working parent as well at work. You know, I've been allowed to work in my own way, and I've done 15 years of the school run in the mornings. So, you know, every single morning I've taken my children to school. Now my youngest has gone to high school, and I don't have to do the morning school run anymore. But I've been allowed to start a little bit later. You know, it's been taken into consideration. But I have also taken that and given my all, because I feel so grateful that, you know, I've been allowed to be able to still be mum and still work, because it shouldn't stop you from really doing anything. And something that my mum always used to say to me, my mum was a businesswoman, and she had a children's day nursery, and she worked really, really hard, and I worked with her. My siblings worked with her. My dad, you know, worked super hard. We had a family business. And my mum always used to say to me, don't think that you can't do something just because you're a girl, because women can achieve anything. And those words have always stayed with me. And I always say it, just because you're a woman, you can still do things. And just because you're a mum doesn't mean, it doesn't have to stop you. It doesn't have to restrict anything, you know.
Absolutely not.
And do you know what as well? Since working full time, since I've become a single parent, my boys have become so much more independent themselves. You know, you've got 4 pairs of eyes that are watching everything that you do. You've got to be a role model to them. You know, it would be very easy for me to think, oh, do you know what? I don't want to do this and I don't want to do that, but I do want to do it because I want them to see me doing it.
Absolutely.
And
you know, practice what you preach,
of
but
course.
Also be that role model.
Yeah, and I think they have also got this work ethic. My eldest son's just got a job as an apprentice in engineering. He's out every single morning at the crack of dawn. He's never been late. He understands the importance of working hard for something. You know, you don't just get things given, and that's very much been drilled into me from a young age, that hard work, it matters. Hard work pays off, and that's what I try and do for my boys as well, and let them see me doing that.
Or a good work ethic.
Yeah, definitely.
Full of integrity. And like you said, order. I absolutely never thought being a woman, and you don't either, and your mum is a wise woman for saying what she did, but, you know, it gives you an extra dimension to have children, to be able to facilitate and accommodate. You have a very supportive environment, and because of that, you are a testament that you have been, when they say allowed, I think you've been in a position where you've been enabled to create your own way of working, and I think that's so important.
Yeah, definitely.
I could talk to you for hours, Zoe, but I'm going to ask you a question. What's next for Zoe? What is next?
I think success is never final, is it? So, you know, I'm always striving to do more, help people, and, you know, just do more things and build more fulfillment into my own career. I would actually like to have my own hotel one day.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I could see myself checking in and visualising it.
Yes. So maybe I've been manifesting that. But yeah, who knows what the future may hold. But I absolutely love what I do. And I think, you know, whatever happens, I'll enjoy it and enjoy the ride, I think.
Well, that's evident, and you certainly have the skill set to back that up, Zoe. So I'm on the edge of my seat waiting for that to happen.
Oh, thank you, Freda.
It's been an absolute pleasure and honour to have you here today. And I'm sure you will strike so many chords with our listeners as well.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for being a wonderful guest.
Oh,
Zoe.
thank you. It's been an absolute honour for me to come here, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Thank you so much, Freda.
This is the Yorkshire Businesswoman podcast. To join the Yorkshire Businesswoman network and find out more, visit our website, yorkshirebusinesswoman.co.uk, or find us on Instagram or LinkedIn. This podcast was produced by This Is Distorted.